Part B of week 2 lab activity, where today we will be going over how to use layouts in ArcPro. So please start a blank ArcGIS Pro map by searching in your search bar at the bottom of your computer desktop for ArcGIS Pro. And mine is loading right now. Today we will open a blank map. You could save it anywhere on your desktop or in your documents folder. I'm going to use a recent location called week 3. And I will name this layouts exercise. Okay. And then okay. And so by default, ArcPro opens up a project file, or creates a project file, project folder, and then in that you get a map file, you get a toolbox, and you get a geodatabase. So you're provided a lot of these files when you start a new ArcPro project. And today we're going to be working first with maps, which is what we're looking at here, and then with layouts. So right now you're able to zoom in and out, and it's showing a base map provided by ArcGIS Pro. We're going to change this base map. So go up to the map ribbon, select the base map icon that I'm hovering over, and then we're going to select imagery hybrid, and that's going to change the base map. ArcPro, when you get a license for ArcPro, you're provided with a lot of the defaults that ArcPro provides, which is a number of base maps. And so we're going to take a look at different ones today. So we're looking at the continental US in an imagery aerial satellite. I want to locate San Luis Obispo. So go up to the locate tool, locate icon rather, and then search. And then in the search bar, let's type in San Luis Obispo. And we're going to select the first San Luis Obispo city. And it's going to zoom to that location. And you could exit out of locate. And from here, let's zoom in so we see all of SLO City. And then zoom in even further so we get a view of Cal Poly campus. And so I want an extent about this, and you can actually type in the scale in the bottom left. Let's go to 20,000. Okay, and that zooms in a little bit further, and we'll put Cal Poly kind of in the center. Scale 20,000, that shows Cal Poly campus. Let's save this as a bookmark. So go to bookmarks and then select new bookmark. And we're going to call this SLO in all caps. Select OK. And what's cool about bookmarks is you can now zoom out, go to, take a field trip to Bakersfield and zoom in and do some data analyses over here. And then if you want to go back to the Cal Poly perspective in that scale, you could quickly go bookmarks, SLO. So that's pretty neat. And we're also going to rename this map that we're looking at. So in the catalog pane, drop the drop arrow for maps, click on map, right click, and then select rename. And then let's call this one imagery. I think I spelled that wrong. Okay. And just as a reminder, if you exit out of the map and you exit out of catalog, you don't need to panic because you could go up to the view ribbon and then press the catalog pane and then double click imagery and it'll open it for you. And then furthermore, take it one step further and go to your saved bookmark and you have that same scale. Okay, second part is to insert a new map. So go up to the top, select insert new map. And we're going to call this map Topo. So you can right click on the map and rename it that way, or similarly, you could right click in the contents pane and then select properties and rename it this way. And so we'll rename it Topo. And here are more settings for map properties. You have coordinate systems, reference scale. You could rotate your map frame if you want. Lots of other different settings, but for now, we're just going to edit the name. And then we want to change the base map. So go up to map ribbon, select base map, and we want USA Topo Maps. So scroll down and then click USA Topo Maps. And that should load a different type of base map than our first map. And go up to bookmarks and select slow. Okay, and so this is showing Cal Poly, which is great. And we have two different base maps, two different perspectives. Now we want to insert a layout. So go to the insert ribbon, new layout, on Z portrait 8.5 by 11. Go ahead and click that and it will open up a new layout. And you could see it doesn't come up under maps and instead it comes up under layouts. Let's rename this layout. And we'll go to general and we'll call this one Cal Poly. Okay. Okay, so now we are looking at layout. So this is like a blank canvas. This is a blank page where we insert our map frame and actually make the map. So let's go to the insert ribbon and then map frame. And let's insert our first map we made, which was slow imagery. And you could just click on the layout and drag and create your map doing that. And you can make it to the full extent of the page. And then let's add our other map. So go ahead and go insert, map frame, but instead of doing imagery, we're going to go down to topo and select topo. And go ahead and click and draw that on the layout. Okay, so both should be showing the same scale, but if we aren't positive, there's a couple ways to verify this. We could click the first map frame, and over here, you see how I click the first map frame here, and it highlights it in the contents pane. We could rename this so we know what we're looking at. We could rename this map frame properties, and you can call it imagery. Over here on the right, call it imagery, so the same as the map frame. Okay. And then similarly, you could rename this bottom one properties and call this topo. Okay, so then we're gonna activate the map frame so that we can edit and alter and change the scale if we need to. So let's click on the imagery map frame and then go up to layout and select activate. So this is gives you the option to scroll in and out and actually manipulate data using the data view. And so you could go bookmark slow and it'll take you to the bookmark that we had earlier. And the reason it's not 20,000 is because of how we drew the map frame on here. It's a little wider than it is initially in the map view. So that looks good. So we'll do layout, close activation. And let's see if it's the same for this bottom one. So click topo and go to layout, activate. And let's go to bookmarks, slow, and see how it's quite different scale than the top map frame, but we want them to be identical. So what's going on here is that they're actually not the same shape. So let's fix that. So go ahead and close activation under layout. And the reason it's not the same shape is because we just kind of arbitrarily drew it on here, but there's tools in ArcPro that allow you to draw more precisely. So let's right click on the ruler, which is this left ruler on the layout, and select add guide. And let's put our guide somewhere where that'll help us draw our map frames. So 10.75, and let's do another one at 5.75. Okay, so that's 5 inches height. And we want to also do 5-inch height for this second one. So we'll add a guide at 0.25 right there. And another guide at 5. Oh, let's make sure that's 5. And you could click and drag up. So go ahead and play around with that. You can see how I click and drag. You could right click and then remove guide. and that'll remove it. And then just go ahead and right click and add guide again. So feel free to play around, pause this and play around with the guides. And sorry, I did my math wrong. It should be at 5.25. Okay, so then go ahead and drag the map to that guide so that both map frames are 5 inches in height. Okay, and now you can insert layout, activate, and go back to that scale, 18,250. Okay, let's do layout, close activation. Go to the bottom map frame on Topo Map, and then activate that frame and use your bookmark and make sure that it's approximately the same. And it's probably because I did not snap to this guide. So let's see. I'm going to close activation and make sure that they're on the same. And it could be because it's a little wider as well. So let's add vertical guides so it looks a little cleaner. So go up to the top and add a guide. And I make it so it has a 0.25 margin. And the same over here, add a guide at 0.25. And then snap these to there. Okay. So now it has a nice 0.25 inch margin around the map frame. And that should make these approximately identical. Okay. I'm going to activate my map frame and make sure I have it on the right bookmark. And I'll do the same for this one. Okay, so for this map, this precision is perfectly acceptable for the audience, for our objective for this map, which is to show Cal Poly and also where Cal Poly is located in the city of SLO, which is going to be the next part. So right now we have our Cal Poly layout with 2 different map perspectives using different base maps, which I think looks great. And now we're going to duplicate our layouts. So right click on Cal Poly, and you can either copy and paste or you could press duplicate, okay? And let's rename Cal Poly 1 to SLO. Okay, select OK. And then we could close this one. And our next step is to add a new map. So insert new map. And we're going to locate San Luis Obispo. So go up to the map ribbon, locate, and then select search, San Luis. And now let's zoom into the city of San Luis Obispo. We're just gonna approximately find SLO City. If you wanted to take it a step further, you could download SLO City Boundary, which the SLO City public GIS hub has that layer. You could download that and use that to show on your map or to find SLO City, but we're just going to find it using our mouse. And then let's change the base map to something slightly different. It's going to be called Streets. And you can exit out of the locate. Let's make sure Cal Poly is fully seen and then the rest of SLO City. So I have about a 1 to 75,000 scale. Anything around there will do just fine, but you want to make sure Cal Poly is visible. And then from here, let's rename this map. So again, we'll come over to the contents pane, click on map, click properties, and let's call this SLO City. Okay, select OK. So now in our layouts, let's open up Slow. And we want to insert another map. Insert another map frame. And we want Slow City. And we're going to draw it kind of in this dark shaded gray area because the point of these two top maps is to show Cal Poly. So let's go ahead and draw it about there. You can actually snap to the bottom layout just like that. And I'm going to zoom in so you could see what I'm doing. Feel free to do the same. So I have a third map frame, and it's showing a totally different perspective. It's showing all of San Luis Obispo City and some of Cal Poly. Let's fix this because this is a little cumbersome, right? First off, this text is in the way, and this is the source text. So to remove that, you're going to select Insert Graphics and Text, Dynamic Text. Scroll down to Source Layer Credits. So down about halfway under Layout, it's going to be Service Layer Credits. Service Layer Credits. If you're publishing this map, you might want to keep this text on the map, but if it's like visually distracting, then put it somewhere else. You could reference it in a caption, you could put it in the bottom corner, and to do that, click the text and click and drag off to the side. Okay. And then if you delete this, it goes right back on the map frame. So again, click the map frame. I'm going to redo what I just showed you. Service Layer Credits, and then click off to the side, and that'll remove it. And so if I want to zoom out, I don't really like the scale of this one or how it's positioned. Let's zoom out so that we can see Slow City and Cal Poly. So click the map frame and then select Layout, Activate. And we're going to zoom just about like that. Actually, let's change it to 85,000 scale. Oops. 85,000. Okay, that looks good. So go back up to Layout, close Activation. So the last thing we want to do is click this map frame. And then we want to add an extent indicator, which is, it creates a new extent indicator by choosing a map frame. So I've chosen this map frame, and it's going to highlight, it actually might highlight, yes, it highlights where we're looking at in these two map frames. And since they're identical, we could do either one. So you see this little rectangle that just appeared on the map? That's showing the scale of this map frame, which is cool. It shows you where in the world you're looking at when you look at Cal Poly. However, I want to make it bright red. So we can come over to the Contents pane, right-click, Properties, and then your element pane shows up instead of black. So click the black rectangle, scroll down, outline color, select as red, and then apply. And that will change it. And so from here, I like how these two Cal Poly perspectives show a different base map. And then if you see, you can even make this a little smaller. And you could make this zoom out more so you could see more of Cal Poly, or even further, like if you want to do it even further. This is totally up to you. The point is to show where Cal Poly is relative to San Luis Obispo. So I like something like that. Looks like this. You are ready to add the final map elements and then export and publish your map. So to add the final map elements, you go up to Insert, Map Surrounds, and let's add a north arrow. You might need to change your north arrow to white so that it shows up better. So you could do Properties, Paintbrush icon. Sometimes I even forget where certain things are. You just have to scroll up and down and look around. So the symbol is black, and you could change it to white. That doesn't look that good, right? So let's change it back to black and put it somewhere else. And this is all a part of map making. The symbol is now hidden because it's white. So easy, quick way is just to delete the north arrow and then re-add it. So let's put the north arrow in this white. Let's put him in the bottom left. North arrow, we want to add our scale bar. I want to make sure everything is visible. So if you have to move this map frame up, please do so. And then add the guide up so that it stays the same height. I think we said it was 5.25 inches. So let's move the guide so we have room for all the map elements. And that's a part of map making, is sometimes fixing the layout. So where is this guide? It's at 0.625. So the top one needs to be 5.875. And I'm going to say that's okay for today's lab, is just move the guide to 5.625, because we don't need that level of precision as long as it shows Cal Poly. Okay, so now we can add our scale bar. We can maybe move our north arrow so it looks better in this white space. Make it smaller. That's all a part of map making, is adjusting these elements. And if you have numbers that don't really make sense, like it's 3.75 and you just want to round to 3, you can adjust that in the scale bar element pane, and you could do divisions and first point. You can tell how many divisions you want. You could adjust the division value, adjust the width, like a manual width. But I'm going to just keep the default because I like that one. Okay, we did the north arrow, the scale bar. Now we need to do the legend. And actually there is no legend for this one, right? Like, so if I add a legend, there's nothing here because we have no data since it's just base maps. So for this map, we don't need a legend. And then all we have left is a title and author. So we will add some text. In the bottom, we're going to put the author, which should be yourself. Okay. Bottom right, and then a title. And you can edit this. We're going to call Poly slow. That'll be good for today's lab. Actually, that'll be fine. We're assuming this is going out to people that are living in the area and are familiar with California. Text symbol, let's add a halo. So go to text symbol. That's halo. Halo symbol, we're going to make white. Outline. And then apply. And that'll make it pop. So if you want to see the whole map, you could close all these panes. It might give you a better view. And then layout and press this icon. And that should give you your final map. So it should look like this. When you're ready, you could select Share, Export Layout. And we want to do a PDF and put it in the week 3 layout folder and just keep all the defaults. So you don't need to change any of these settings. And then export. And always make sure to check your exported file. Make sure it's not corrupt. Make sure it looks good, that you didn't have any records accidentally selected. And then you can upload this to Canvas. See you next time. Thanks.